The rent's only $700. It doesn't include heat, hot water, lights, or internet. So when you move in that $700 apartment and you realize you're gonna get a heat bill, a light bill, an internet bill, a Wi-Fi bill, you're gonna be sick because you didn't think of that. So make sure you guys are remembering that there's other bills other than just rent when you move. Hey babes, it's me Zion. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you are returning, thank you for coming back and welcome back. But as you guys see in that title today, I always get mad aggressive when I say as you guys see in that title. Okay, 3, 2, get it together. Get it together, sis. As you guys see in that title, we're gonna be doing a how to move out. I didn't name it like that. I haven't named it yet, but I know it's gonna be how I moved out at 18 and tips and tricks before you guys move out, because you need to know these things, like for real. Like, it's not a joke. Everybody wants to move out, everybody wants to live on their own until you figure out it's real life, and it's not a joke. And that's on everything, period. So I have a list right here in my book of some very important things you guys need to know before you move out, and we're just gonna go through these. And if you guys need me to make a part 2, if you guys need like other things answered or questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. I'm not 100% sure on everything, but I've been living in an apartment since I was 18 and I'm about to be 21 in September, so it's been a while. I've gone through almost everything that could happen at this point. So my first advice is to save money, and these are tips before you move out. I can necessarily make a video on how to budget and all that later, but this is before you move out. You need to save money. Apartments are expensive. Apartments are not cheap. You need to at least, and I would say at least two bands, at least $2,000 to the side before you even move out, because you have to think of a lot of things. So that's one of my points too, but I'll get to that later. I don't want to mess up my cycle. Next is going to be strict with yourself, and this is in terms of your saving. If you really want to move out, you need to start practicing self-control. It's not something you can play with, because you can get evicted, you can lose your apartment. All right, so I don't know what's going on my camera, but it kept stopping when I was recording. So we're just gonna get back to what I was saying, is be strict with their money, because it's not a joke. Like, when you move out, it's not a joke. So you want to make sure you're being strict on yourself and having a savings account, and make sure you're getting ready for the amount of responsibilities that you're gonna have. So next is going to be find legit apartment sites, and this is just going to require you to do your research, because in different areas there's different apartment sites. So I can't tell you what to not look on, what to look on, but just know that people are scamming, people want your money, people want your information, so don't do everything online. Next up is going to be have a solid, consistent job. Please don't try to move out and you cannot hold a job for more than 2 weeks, because on top of that, I want to say 80% of apartments in nice areas as well require you to have 3 pay stubs at least, and they have to be they drag it, so it has to be 3 times the monthly income or whatever. So they want to see you're making money consistently for a month straight. So if you're someone who can't keep a job for more than 2 weeks, it's going to be more harder for you to find an apartment than someone who has a solid job getting $8 to $1,000 a week. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Find a solid job and keep it for at least 3-4 months before you even apply. Next up, which is something I didn't really do, I remember when I moved out, was think about other bills other than rent. And sometimes you have NIMO, sometimes you have internet, sometimes you have Wi-Fi, you have food, most definitely, and that costs an arm and a leg itself. You might have a light bill, you might have a heat bill, depends on what's included in your apartment and what's not. So you need to make sure you're looking at those things when you move out and keep those in mind. You can be like, oh, the rent's only $700. It doesn't include heat, hot water, lights, or internet. So when you move in that $700 apartment and you realize you're gonna get a heat bill, a light bill, an internet bill, a Wi-Fi bill. You're gonna be sick because you didn't think of that. So make sure you guys are remembering that there's other bills other than just rent when you move. Next up, when you're looking, make sure you're staying in your budget. Everything has a minimum rent and a maximum rent button. Make sure you're really filling that out and not looking at apartments over, because you're gonna get hurt when you find one that you really love but it's not in your budget, and say you do go with that one and then you're gonna be struggling or miserable because it's like you can't afford it. So just stay in your budget. And if your budget doesn't even have anything you want, you might want to wait to move. You might want to save more money and get a better job or find a second hustle, but you don't want to move until you don't want to waste your time. Pretty much, you don't want to waste your time and your money. So you want to move into a nice apartment. You want to wait till you have the money for it, because it's even if, say, you're in a bad situation or sometimes you just gotta move, you can. But say you're not, you don't want to move somewhere and then be miserable because you moved into a place you don't like. That's honesty. That's honesty. Also, when you're moving, think about the application fee. Nowadays, they're not cheap. I've seen some from $20 to $80. And the application fee, if you don't know, is the fee to put in an application for an apartment that you don't even know if you're gonna get, because other people are putting in application fees too. But that is also a new, I don't think it's new necessarily, but I didn't know about those. But yeah, you're gonna have an application fee majority of the time. Like 80% of the time you're gonna have an application fee. It's gonna cost money as well. Next up, I want you guys to make sure you guys are going to see the apartments. If you're new to this, I would bring someone with you. I would bring someone with you no matter what, because you never know if someone's doing a scam or playing you, or you don't know if you need a second opinion. So if you can, bring somebody with you, but never sign a lease without looking at an apartment. Next up is going to be to work on your credit and have good credit, because majority of these apartments want you to have good credit. Next up, you want to make sure you review company reviews. That sounds weird, but you want to make sure you look up the company that you're going under and see what people say about them, which is something I personally should have did, because I have a horrible company that does absolutely nothing. So I'm telling you guys, make sure you research the company before you move into the apartment or complex that you're going to. Next up, you want to ask questions. You want to ask them, will your rent go up? You want to ask them, what are pet fees? You want to ask them what's included and what's not included, going back to like heat and hot water. You want to ask them about trash, if they do trash. You want to ask all the questions you need to get out before you sign that lease. Bringing that up, you want to make sure you go over your lease with somebody who's maybe a little older if you don't understand, and you want double check. You don't want to sign your name on that paper until you understand what's on that lease, because it could come back and bite you in the butt if you didn't know what you signed on that lease. So make sure you guys take precaution and make sure you guys ask someone to look over it with you if you're younger, or if you're older. I know I have a lot of older people watching me. Make sure you have somebody check your lease. Make sure you have somebody check your lease before you sign it, or make sure you double read it. If you don't need nobody else to check it, just make sure you're over reading it, asking any questions that don't make sense to you, because they will get you on that lease. But I don't want that to happen to you guys. But honestly, those are going to be all my tips for this first video, which is just things to know before moving an apartment. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you have any other questions or comments that you guys want to put in the comments, I will respond to everybody. Everybody else can respond if you know something I don't. But make sure you guys comment down below if you have any questions. If you're in the middle of the process and you have like one dying question you don't got an answer to, just make sure you guys comment. That's what the comments are for. But I love you guys, and thank you guys for staying to the end and watching this video. If you were new, make sure you guys subscribe, and if you're returning, I will see you babes in the next video. Peace.